With the first three habits, Mr. Stephen Covey laid the basis for independency. The first habit is called be proactive. We found out that we have a choice how to respond. With the second habit, start with the end in mind. We reconsidered who would be speaking on our funeral and what would they say. And then start providing input for that speech today. And then with the third habit, first things first, we found out what matters are urgent and what matters are important, and try to focus on those important matters in life, because focusing on those matters will contribute to the end in mind. So that's the basis for independency. And before Stephen Covey starts talking about habit 4, 5, and 6, he makes the point to focus first on, from independency, go to interdependency. Interdependency. And the first three habits relate to your personal victories, and now we switch to public victories. And there he talks about the concept of interdependency. Very interesting. So this video is about that interdependency. And in this chapter he introduces the concept of the emotional bank account. A beautiful idea and oh so true in parenting, and totally relates to what I intend to do with my children. And he introduced the concept of the emotional bank account. We all know what a bank account is. You can deposit money in a bank and you get it out, and you can even be in the red numbers now and then, but you better make sure that you have enough reserves so that when you're at the counter in the supermarket you can still pay with your card. And that's exactly how he introduced the emotional bank account. He says you must be aware of the fact that you have to make frequent deposits to get enough reserves on your emotional bank account in order to get the relationship with you and your colleagues and me as a parent with my children up and running and smooth and nice and in a cooperative mood. He tells about the relationship that you should create, and this emotional bank account is about creating a circle of safety, a relation of trust between one another. And in Holland there's a beautiful proverb that goes like this. And now I have to switch to Dutch, it's difficult. So that goes like this. Vertrouwen komt te voet en gaat te paard. So trust comes to you by foot, walking, but it can go with riding a horse, no? And that says so much as trust can take years to build, but it can be done in moments. And that's what this emotional bank account is all about. So, and I think I have a perfect example that relates to parenting specifically. So I dropped my daughter, 3-year-old, at the Spielgroep, which is a daycare, on a Friday morning, and I let her decide when I can go. So she decides when I can go. Think about it. That's a 3-year-old daughter. She decides when I can go, and sometimes that takes 5 minutes, sometimes it takes 10. It might even have taken 20 minutes. And I walk with her up with the group, and then suddenly she says, okay, Daddy, you can go now. I started to do this always when I drop her off at the kita, at the daycare. Anywhere we go, I let her decide when I can go. So I build up this circle of trust very carefully. And I feel that it empowers her. It gives her that trust, and she says much quicker and confidently, okay, Daddy, you can go now. I feel comfortable enough to stay here on my own. and it's okay. And you just feel the power of that bye-bye ritual. And it's beautiful because around me I see so many other examples of parents deciding themselves when they should go, and kids are not ready for it. And that creates this separation that is unnecessary and doesn't build up that circle of trust, doesn't give that deposit on an emotional bank account that Stephen Covey is talking about. However, it is fairly easy to consume some of that emotional bank account, because if I'm not in a good mood and I'm in a hurry and I don't have that trust in that she would decide in 5 or 6 or 2 minutes that I can go because I have other important things to do, and I break that circle of trust, I go. You feel that you actually made a negative contribution to that circle of trust, and you have to build it up again and again, and it goes slowly, but it's gone in a second. Somewhere you truly feel that it is, and most of all, you feel the power that you build up in a relationship by putting someone else in a position of trust and confidence and power, basically. So that's my example of the emotional bank account, which relates to interdependency. And it was about me dropping my 3-year-old daughter at the daycare, and she decides when I can go. I think it's a perfect example that relates to the interdependency topic of Stephen Covey.